How's everyone doing? 9 and 4 more here to bring you another video. I'm Tyler, joined by my co-host Brandon. How's it going?
Going good, man.
All right, so let's get right into these picks. Start things off with Tampa Bay at Atlanta. I think it should be pretty easy. Atlanta did beat us last week, but Tampa, I think they'll roll against the Falcons pretty easily.
Yeah, 100%. This shouldn't be a close game. I feel like even if Cordell Patterson has his usual thing, this shouldn't be close, but you never know. This might be closer than what we think.
Well, I mean, in the NFL so far this season, there's no such thing as
There,
I feel
there
like a
are no
given win.
locks. There's no
There's
locks in the NFL anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Arizona Cardinals at Chicago Bears. It's gonna be interesting. I think Kyle Murray is returning, and same thing with D Hop. Even if they didn't play, I probably would still take the Cardinals. But if they're playing, I think Cardinals. They've been kind of haven't been playing their best ball lately, so give me the Cardinals to win by at least two scores.
Yeah, especially if Murray and Hopkins are playing. They're both limited. I got both of them on fantasy, so I got dialed in on that one. So I hope they play, but yeah, they're both limited, but I think they're both going to play. I think the bye week kind of set them up to be able to play this week.
Oh, for sure. And then Chicago, I think Justin Fields still won't play. I think they said they're going to go with Andy Dalton one more week. So,
That's a win.
yeah, I mean they barely beat the Lions, but Lions played a lot of people tough this year, so
Yeah.
that's not saying much for the Bears. But next up, we have the Los Angeles Chargers at Cincinnati Bengals. This probably be the game of the week. Two
Yeah.
great, I won't say great teams, but two teams competing for a wild card spot. Cincinnati came off that was it like 40 something to 10 victory over the Steelers. Absolutely whooped Big Ben and the Steelers. First time I think what they actually said they swept the Steelers in like over 12 years.
I could see it. I mean, I could see it even being longer, really. If you told me it was longer, I would believe you.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and then you always have the Chargers coming off a devastating loss against the Broncos. This is a tough matchup, but I'm gonna go with the Bengals to win. I just think the offense with Joe Burrow on them is gonna be a little bit too much for the Chargers defense.
Yeah, I think this game is going to be a very high scoring game, which means it's going to be a low scoring game because
Oh,
it's said
100%.
that. But yeah, I could if you told me this will me look like a college like stat line. I can feel like both quarterbacks could have 350. Running backs probably be like 80 to 100 yards. There's going to be like 4 or 5 touchdowns on each side. Like this is gonna be a true game of like whoever gets the last possession. I feel like. But yeah, I agree. I think the Bengals, they're at home, so kind of give them the advantage and got to have all the confidence doing that to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not a great team, but they're not a terrible team. And do that to your rival. That's always got to probably push them forward.
Yeah, I agree. Definitely, I think it's a game I think that could have been flexed to Sunday Night Football,
Oh yeah.
possibly, but it's definitely gonna be probably one of the better games of the week. Next up, we have the Minnesota Vikings at the Detroit Lions. I don't know if Detroit's going to win a game this year personally. At least they can't go 0-17, right? They can go
Yeah,
0-17. They can go 16-1. Good for them,
they tied. That's all that matters.
right? So they didn't get that extra loss. And the Vikings, they're still in that playoff hunt. They lost Alvin Cook, so we'll see how that team does without Cook. But give me the Vikings to win though.
Yeah, man. There's a issue with my computer decided to just go turn Siri on. So we're good with that.
Okay, so we're gonna go with Vikings, correct?
Yeah, I'm going Vikings. You
All
didn't. I
right.
probably didn't even have. The Vikings are going to win. They may be closer than we think. I think Dalvin Cook out. But just look for Justin Jefferson to have a monster game against this Detroit Lions secondary.
Oh yeah,
I
Justin
could easily
Jefferson.
see him having a 200-yard game this week. So if you got him, definitely he's probably the start of the week.
And then Kirk Cousins got to be kind of upset. I mean, he threw his first interception in how long? So now he has 23 touchdowns and 3 picks. So,
God
that third
forbid.
interception really probably made him upset.
I mean, the Lions. I think they've gotten a couple interceptions. Well, I
They
mean, I was
past
against
few weeks, yeah, they've
last couple of
got
weeks
him
they've
up.
been getting at it. So maybe Kirk Cousins has a worse game than we think they're going to have. You never know. Like we said, there's no locks, so it wouldn't. And this Vikings team kind of like plays like the Lions. They're very similar, where they don't win a ton of games, but they're in a lot of games. So this could be a closer score than what I think maybe some people might think happened.
Hey, I can see it. Next up, we have the Giants at the Dolphins. This is a pretty interesting matchup because the Giants, they've been inconsistent. They started the season off, kind of like, they look good and then bad, and then they went on a stretch recently where they didn't look good. They beat your Eagles last week in a crazy game of, what was it, 13-6, 13-7, something like that.
Terrible game where we had the ball on like the 1 yard line 4 times or something like that too.
Yeah. And then you have Miami, who's won, I believe, 4 straight. They're 5-7. They're fighting for a wild card spot. I can honestly see this going either way, but Daniel Jones, I believe, has a neck sprain or neck injury.
Yeah,
And he's
some kind of neck
questionable.
thing.
They do think he's going to play, but go ahead and give me the Dolphins, though, to make it 5 straight wins.
Yeah, their defense is actually in the streak has been one of the best defenses in the league. And then Tua, I think he set. I don't know if he like tied a record or set a record for like completion percentage in the last couple of games for like a certain amount of throw, like a minimum of certain amount of throws and things like that, where he's like 80% almost completion rate last couple of weeks. So if he keeps doing that, defense is playing, there's no reason this team may even like put into a playoff hunt, especially with like their schedule isn't great. I mean, the Bills and Patriots, I'm sure they still have to play, but you still get the Jets. I don't know the rest of their schedule, but if they get a couple like decent games like this Giants game here where they should win, you could watch out for the Dolphins sneaking into that playoffs, be like the 7th seed.
Hey, crazier things have happened.
The Lions are technically not out of it, believe it or not. I just saw.
Oh yeah, you see that thing they gave a whole CBS did of like what they could do to win. Like
that shows how bad the NFC is this year, where literally the Lions are 0-10-1 and they still have a shot.
Hey man, anything's possible, right? Next up, we have your Philadelphia Eagles at the New York Jets, a game that the Eagles should win, but they should have won last week. And like you said, there's no gimmies in the NFL. The Jets could come out of here and win, but I don't think so. Even if Gardner Minshew plays, I think it's going to be a really close game. I really do, because the Jets defense, for the most part, they've had a bad stretch of against the Pats and the Bills. But other than that, they've actually played pretty well defensively. So if Gardner Minshew plays, I think that it'd be a close game, but the Eagles still win. But if Jalen Hurts plays, I expect him to win by at least 2 scores.
Yeah, you would hope so, man. Jalen Hurts had one of his it actually probably was his worst career start last week. I think it is an ankle sprain, but they're pretty hopeful that he's going to play. So I don't think we're going to see Minshew, but you may also then not see Jalen Hurts doing what he does best with running the ball. And that could really hurt their offense because he's an okay thrower, but he has to be able to run. That's his whole thing. So if he's not able to do that part, that really makes the Eagles one-dimensional, I feel like. And if they're stuck in a passing game and their running game is not working, this could easily turn to the Jets. I have the Eagles winning, but I am cautious about this game, especially after last week.
Do you think if the Jets win this game, for the Eagles' sake of things, that the Eagles, they might as well go and put a fork in it or a knife in it?
No, it's Philadelphia. You can't just put a fork in it in Philadelphia unless it's like they're the Lions right now. Like unless you're like 0-10, like you never, especially when you still got basically nothing but divisional opponents coming up. You still want to win those games. The NFC is so open that they could still, even if they lose this game, they could still technically have a pretty good shot in the playoffs, just because you still got a lot of divisional games. So if you do well in those are NFC, you're doing well in the schedule, like you could easily move up the ladder pretty quickly.
Yeah. NFC is a lot weaker than AFC this year for sure.
Oh, yeah. Maybe not the very top, but the middle is just not even.
Oh, it's like someone's probably going to go honest with 8-9 is going to get us.
Could see it.
Next up, Indianapolis at Houston. I'm not going to really even want to talk about it. Indianapolis, I think Jonathan Taylor's going to run possibly for 200 yards against his defense. Give me the calls to win by at least 14 points. Yeah,
that if they don't win by more than 14, there's an issue. I mean, the Texans played well. Who they Jets. Yeah, but that's the Jets. So I could see this too. This probably won't even be a good game to watch after even the first quarter.
Yeah, I agree. Next up, we have Washington at Vegas. This is a game I think we might actually disagree on. Go ahead and give me Washington to win. I really like what I've seen from Washington recently. Taylor Heineke has been playing pretty well, and they're in the mix of things in the NFC. So give me the Washington to pull off the upset against the Vegas Raiders.
Believe it or not, I'm right there with you, man. Like, I don't want to be like, I know sometimes we agree a lot, but like, I do actually, Heineke's kind of growing on me. Or Heineke, however you pronounce his name. Gibson and McKissick are a great 1-2 combo. Scary Terry is one of the top receivers in this league. If he was with an elite quarterback like Aaron Rodgers or Justin Herbert, Tom Brady, like Joe Burrow, he would be lighting up even more than what he already is. And I think they're going to get Logan Thomas back this week unless he.
Yeah, he played last week, but he didn't.
Yeah,
get
but it was
many
like kind of like limited kind of thing.
Yeah.
So he should be full go. So they're going to be healthy. I'm obviously not completely healthy on their defensive side, but there's so much going on in Las Vegas, and the way that Washington's starting to pick up some steam a little bit, I wouldn't put them out as another team. Everybody in the NFC East is kind of in it still somehow, but they could be one of the teams that sneaks in for sure because they're also playing really good lately.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when they play Eagles and Washington play twice. And,
yeah, they got two more.
That's gonna be some interesting battle. That's honestly probably the games that could help decide who's gonna get a wild card spot.
Yeah, I could totally see that between those two teams being like the 7th seed, because I think the Falcons and the Saints are going to start kind of tearing off a little bit. And then I think those two teams will be there. And then you'll obviously have the 49ers and Vikings up in there too, probably.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, we have our Jacksonville Jaguars at the Los Angeles Rams, a game that the Jaguars should get blown out, but they should have got blown out by the Bills. I am picking the Rams to win, but if you're trying to bet some money, I might consider taking the Jags on the 13.5, points just to cover. I don't know. I just think it's going to happen. I think the Jags are still going to lose, but I think they're going to keep it a little bit close. Hopefully the offense can start clicking. It seems last week when they ran more tempo, guess what happens? They did it against the Bengals. They ran a lot of tempo this game. It works with Trevor Lawrence, and I hope the coaching staff can get it figured out, but probably not.
Yeah, the whole thing is just Bevels just keeps wanting to run like ISOs and like all this other thing. And then for one series, here we go. We do some more college looking, faster pace, option plays, and get Trevor running, get the receivers more in bunch formation, actually just not running fly routes. And when it actually worked. It's to me, and not benching not James Robinson is just. Carlos Hyde should never see the field. You should never see the field unless James Robinson has run 10 carries consecutively and is literally like throwing up on the field. Even then, you should question it. So I think Urban mentioned that he doesn't micromanage. He may want to start because I am not enjoying what this offensive coaching staff is running out there. So hopefully Urban's kind of said, screw it. I'm going to put my foot down on some of these plays and stuff. And if they do that stuff and the Rams, we can shut down their running game. I feel like Matthew Stafford has not played well. We could see him.
Lost 3 straight now.
Hey, man, low scoring. Hey, Rams, who was it? Rams, Seahawks, Saints, and I think the Lions were the only teams to not win in the month of November. So the Rams are not playing good at all. Jalen Ramsey's heated. Who knows? Maybe he does some stupid penalty or something like that. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Rams should still win this game, but it's not going to be by 13 points.
And then also James Robinson, there's a chance he's not going to play now on Sunday because he was limited.
Yeah, there's a lot of
didn't practice with his not play. But the offensive line last week for the Jags interior played well. They've been playing well all year, but Jawan Taylor is so bad. I mean, I'm at the point where I just want to put Walker Little at right tackle and see what you have with him at right tackle. Because if he pans out, great.
Yeah, he should 100% play right tackle. And I also want to see, I get that. I think their argument why they haven't played Cisco that much is because Wingard hasn't necessarily done anything to cost him his job.
He doesn't.
But at the same time, we look at Tyson Campbell as a perfect example. Tyson Campbell's getting better because he's playing games. He's getting on-field experience. If you keep benching Cisco for Wingard in a season that basically doesn't matter at this point, you're inhibiting his growth, I feel like, at this point. So I need to see him out there. I don't know what's going on with Smith, the pass rusher. I know he was kind of like a project player, but the dude's like 6'7", 250. Put him out. I just want to see what he can do. Make him go out there and just let's at least see him do a couple plays. I'm not saying he has to play 20, 30 plays. Let's see 10 obvious passing downs in the garbage time and see what he can do. So I just want to see more of that stuff, especially this week. We got a lot of injuries on defense. So it's let's play some of these young guys and see if maybe they can give us a spark or something, and maybe we do pull off an upset. Well, because of the young guys are out there, you get guys trying to prove themselves. They have nothing to lose. Go for it. And you never know what could happen.
Yeah, Tyson Campbell has been phenomenal the past month. This past week's been was one of the top rated corners. I mean, he's just getting better. He stays after practice. He's finally feeling more comfortable. The game's slowing down, which is actually what you want to hear. You know, game's supposed to slow down as you get more experience. I'm just and also another player I want to see get more playing time is Shaq Quarterman. Shaq Quarterman has actually been playing really well for the Jaguars, and fans aren't going to like to hear this, but Miles Jack has been one of the worst linebackers in football this year. I know people don't want to see it, but he's been bad. Like
He hasn't been his usual self, that's for sure. He's been, especially when they put the green dot on him, he wasn't good. They took it off, he got a little bit better. But yeah, he's definitely not playing like his usual. He looks slower, I feel like, in coverage. A lot of the zones are kind of almost targeting him, where you always see like the players
100%.
open.
If like a running back or tight end getting the first down, and it's him right there.
Yep. So I mean, I don't see him going anywhere. He's going to be on this team. He's a captain. He's a good locker room guy, good off the field guy, still a good player. But yeah, I want to. He may not play this game. He's one of the players that did not practice. I don't know if he practiced today, but I know he didn't practice on Wednesday. So he could be one out, and maybe we do see a Wilson and Quarterman, and we see what Quarterman can do.
Yeah. I think one for Miles Jack's favor though is I think I'm not mistaken the past few weeks he hasn't practiced at all every week, but they still play him. He just more so just resting.
Yeah. So I
we'll
do
see
hope
what
he plays, but if that means Quarterman gets to play for this game, which like I said, odds are we're going to lose. Why not? Like maybe we're just rest all your guys so that way they don't tear anything, trying to force them, just play your young guys, see if they can do anything.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. I'm all for it. So let's go ahead and go to the next game. We got the Baltimore Ravens at Pittsburgh Steelers. I think Pittsburgh, Big Ben is pretty much done. The Steelers, I don't think have played really well this year at all. Baltimore, I mean, Baltimore's a good team. Lamar Jackson had probably his worst game of his career through 4 picks, and they still overcame with a victory. Lamar knows he didn't play well, and he's not afraid to say that. So give me the Ravens to bounce back pretty, even though they won. But when I mean bounce back, I mean like
I know what you mean. They're going to do like what the Bengals did to the Steelers last week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that their defense is playing amazing too. They're kind of like the same thing with the Dolphins, where it seems like ever since those two face each other, they decided just to be like defensive juggernauts. So their defense will step up against this not so great Steelers offense. And then I believe Watt's still going to be out.
Yeah.
So if their best pass rusher is also not playing, that's going to free up a lot of stuff for Lamar Jackson. And I could definitely see this kind of being like a blow away.
Yeah, but I agree there. Next up, we have the 49ers at Seattle. Seattle 3-8 with Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll. I think Pete Carroll's probably going to be leaving Russell Wilson. Good chance he's going to leave maybe to the Eagles or some other team. San Francisco's, man, they're on fire even without Debo. I think they're still going to be able to get this win pretty convincingly. You know,
yeah, I almost
convincingly that they're here to stay for this season.
I almost completely forgot about Debo being out for, I think he's like a week or two. So that does play a pretty big role. I mean, he's been their whole offense. With that, Brandon Ayuk has actually been playing really good lately too. He's one of the highest rated wide receivers the last 3 weeks. Elijah Mitchell's back and healthy. You still got Jeff Wilson, George Kittle. Yeah, and the way that Seattle's playing has just been, the way Russell Wilson's been playing has been terrible. He doesn't look the same. Maybe that hand, the fractured, it maybe still
back too early. Yeah.
And we saw with Gardner Minshew when he was, I mean, not saying Gardner Minshew and Russell Wilson, but there was a significant drop off when we finally learned that Gardner Minshew's throwing hand was an issue. And that's when he started playing terrible. And Russell Wilson's playing terrible with almost the same injury. So I think there's something going on with his hand and the way that team, I think they've kind of like given up a little bit. And without Chris Carson's going to be out, DK is kind of becoming like a little bit of an issue, complaining about things. This is just going downhill. And this may not be as close as, I think the line's only like 3 for San Francisco. This may
be a 7 to 10 point game, possibly. Yeah.
Yeah. I could easily see it being a 7 to 10 point game for San Francisco and not really even be close.
Yep. Sunday Night Football, Denver at Kansas City. Can Denver get another win? Especially this is a big AFC West showdown. But Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs, I think, are playing well right now. Give me the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes to win.
This is definitely if the Broncos can really establish their running game, which they should against the Chiefs, and their defense steps up on a couple plays, this could go south pretty quickly. But with the Chiefs coming off a bye week, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, they're still one of the most prolific offenses in the league. With a bye week at home, divisional game. Like this is a game I feel like the Chiefs are going to win, but like I do kind of want to almost put money on the Broncos because I do like their defense. Pat Surtain is a legit threat out there. They still got Bradley Chubb, Shelby Harris. Their safety is really good too. Simmons, Bridgewater's not. They got the best running back duo in the NFL, Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams statistically. So if they get the running game going, it could be something. All the receivers are healthy. So I think I'm talking myself into it. I'm gonna pick the Denver Broncos to this game. I'm talking myself into it. I really, really like this Broncos team. I think if they had Teddy Bridgewater isn't bad, but if they had like a legit playmaker on this
team, Aaron Rodgers next year, jeez.
Might get Russell Wilson. Like there's those two are definitely going to be. That's going to be one of the main storylines in the offseason is one of those teams because Broncos are set up. Their receivers are set. Their running backs are set. Their secondary is one of the best secondaries in the league. Denver's one of the best football cities in the last couple of years. They've really grown in popularity over there. I could totally see one of the teams try to do a Peyton Manning 2.0 kind of situation, and we could easily see Denver Broncos come back. And I think this may be a game that kind of sets them apart.
Hey, we'll see what happens. This usually is a time of the year, though, where the Kansas City Chiefs defense starts clicking. We'll see because it happens every year.
But this is the worst they've ever looked.
100%.
By far. So that's why I'm like, Broncos have actually a pretty good offense. Their core is stacked. Like they have one of the best offensive cores, like I would say almost in the league, like skill position wise.
Yeah. Their offense is clicking right now. But you're going Denver, I'm going Kansas City. Next up, we have the New England Patriots at the Buffalo Bills. I was actually 50-50 on this. I really was, even in our pick'em with everyone. I ended up going with New England, and I'm going to stick with that pick. Give me the Patriots to pull off the upset, and they're going to, what is it going to be, like 7-game win streak? Give me a Mac Jones and the New England Patriots to beat the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo.
I actually have the same exact pick. This defense on the Patriots is clicking. Their offense is clicking. This system is perfectly designed for Mac Jones. Like there wasn't a quarterback alive that was meant for the system besides Tom Brady and Mac Jones. Like literally,
he looks like Tom Brady in the pocket. He really does.
It's because they have the same exact playing style. You saw what happened when they tried last year with Cam Newton. They tried something different, and they're like, nope, we're going back to the way we're going to do screen routes. We're going to do slants. We're going to do all that. We're going to get nothing but fast receivers, some dominant tight ends, and good running backs. And that's what they did. And they made their defense better, getting all the people back from COVID. They lost like 8 people on COVID. They're all playing. So it's just like this team is clicking. The Bills, I feel like, have not been. I mean, I know that they blew out the Saints. And then who else did they blow out? The Jets. Yeah. So then both of those teams are downhill. So ever since I think the Jags, the Miami game, actually, the people kind of figured them out. So as long as you got a decent team, you can pretty much play against the Bills pretty well. And I think the Patriots will be the hardest opponent in weeks, like almost for the whole season, even minus, I think, the first couple of weeks of the year. So this will be a test for them that I think they're going to be ready for, but I think the Patriots are going to smack them in the mouth.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think teams have figured out Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. When it comes to Josh Allen, you got to blitz Josh Allen. And when it comes to Patrick Mahomes, you don't blitz Patrick Mahomes. You kind of play everyone back. And that's how people have been beating them now.
Yep. And the same thing, it's not afraid of the running game. That's the big thing for those two quarterbacks. You're just not afraid of them running the ball at all. And if there's no fear of that, then you can just go straight for the quarterback and play coverage defense, cover Diggs, cover Hill, and there you go. Like it's surprising how long it took people to figure that out, but that's where we are. And I think both of those, that's why I like Denver. That's why I like the Patriots. Both of those teams can do that. Elite defenses. And I think that they're going to be able to pull it off. I'm mad though, because I just now thought of the Broncos. I picked Kansas City in our pool, I think. But if I could go back, I would definitely pick the Broncos and then sticking with the Patriots for the same exact reason.
All right, there's our picks. We'll see what happens. Definitely gonna be an interesting week of football, especially, getting towards the end of the season. And a lot of teams fighting for playoffs. But I think I've seen a stat that said like 24, 25 out of 32 teams are all currently are all fighting for a playoff spot. That's insane.
Yeah, we'll see how
I mean-
much that drops off next week because every week we're going to get a big drop off. But if some of these upsets happen in the AFC and NFC, it may not drop off by that much because AFC is packed. NFC is just garbage, but they're all kind of like in the same record kind of thing. So it's definitely, this might be one of the most contentious watching until week 18 to see how many. There still could be like 5 teams possibly,
Yeah.
all fighting for like 2 or 3 spots on both sides of the conferences to the very last week.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be interesting. But definitely, guys, hit that subscribe button. Go follow us on Twitter, 904 and more. And other than that, thank you all for watching. Go Jags.
The Jags.